Yeah, so someone asked me what is the best spec, or what spec should I play? And you see that a lot, right? You see it on forums and other videos. You see like, hey, these are the top specs that you should be playing, or this is the best DPS, the best ranged. There's a lot of stuff like that that try to tell players, hey, this is what you should be playing, and this is how to win. And I was asked that just the other day. Hey, what do I think? What does Soul think about that mindset, or just what ideas do I have about what's best? I don't know, and I don't have a good answer. I'm just gonna have to talk about it for a while, or I guess talk out loud, share my thoughts, and stay breezy, right? I think this was a multi-part question, or at least I'm going to see it as a multi-part question. And the first thing that came to mind was, how did I choose my class? And when I first started playing World of Warcraft forever and a day ago, I chose a warlock. I was an undead warlock because I liked the theme in fantasy. Ooh, class fantasy. That fit me because I liked pet classes. I liked being away from things, much different from how I am now, but I liked being away from things, and I enjoyed the concept and idea of dots. And things like viability or what's best, those things didn't apply at all back in classic, or I guess they just don't apply for a brand new player. Maybe they'll be thinking, okay, well, what do I think is good? But just about everything's good, and that's the mindset that I went into when I first chose to play warlock. It wasn't until BC until I finally made that change from the undead pally, or undead warlock, to the blood off paladin that I use now. And part of it, I swear, there's a video like, I shit you not, this was the thing that inspired me to become a paladin. There's a video of a dude with the skull flame shield. I remember he did a single pull of Scarlet Monastery. He ran all the way up to the end, got to the boss, ran all the way back, and just trained like tons and tons of mobs. And he was like level 70 at the time, but like he did a one pull. He ran almost to the entrance, went around a corner to line of sight, and just AoE the crap out of everything. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get rich doing this. So that's why I did a pally, because I saw a video, I saw that it was awesome, and I wanted to do the same thing. So up to that point, it was all about me. It was all about what I felt like doing. It was about what I thought was cool, and I extend that kind of mindset to anyone who's thinking about it. I really want people to just do what they want, what they think is cool, and but that doesn't mean anything coming from just some fucker on YouTube saying, "Oh yeah, just do what you want." That doesn't mean shit. But it was in fact when I did become a paladin that I also started to tank with the guild that I was running with, Prisoners of Warcraft, and they needed a tank. So I was like, yeah, I could do it because I'm a badass that can do a one pull of Scarlet Monastery. I'm defense cap. Let's do this, and I've been tanking ever since. And so the mindset changed from wanting to do what I thought was cool to what do I think is going to be best for the people that I play with. Oh, was my hand like? Sorry, it's like this whole time. I should have figured that. So, like I said, the mindset changed from what I think was cool to, hey, what do you guys need? I'll do it. And it happened to be a tank, and ever since then, that's just how it was. The mindset though of what class should I play, it changed again though as I started to run Prisoners of Warcraft, and now I'm the guild leader. Okay, cool. So now as a guild leader that regularly hosts raids twice a week, every week since almost whenever, it was a matter of role filling. So of course, as a tank, I'm just gonna stick to that role, and for whatever reason, I've stuck to that. I should probably say why I stuck to that. Part of choosing the class and a spec is, are you comfortable with it? Is this something that you like doing? And are you familiar with the role? Do you like the role? Is this something that you can imagine yourself doing for months at a time, over the course of a raid tier, or indefinitely, as I admit very, very few players do what I do and just stick like to one spec forever. But that's okay, because to be perfectly honest, I'm not very good at DPS. I'm not very good at healing. There's a different mindset when it comes to that. And part of the allure of tanking for me, and I've said this to multiple people, tanking keeps me awake. DPS puts me puts me to sleep. And healing is interesting, but then as a tank and also the raid lead, that does give me a kind of viewpoint advantage. Whatever, it lets me kind of see what's going on in the raid without having to worry terribly much about, oh my god, these people are dying, or I'm not falling asleep, because all I have to do is perform. And this isn't me knocking on the I'm doing it again. This isn't me knocking on the other roles at all. I think people should do, like I said, I think people should do what they're most comfortable with, what they think is fun, what they think, primarily that. For me though, pally tanking, it's all I'm good at after so many years, and the things that I bring to the table as a protection paladin, I think that's more valuable than what I'd give as a different class. Not because it is true, but because that's how I feel, and that's important too. So why do people change roles and specs a lot? Well, first off, I can only try to relate to this because I'm coming from a different perspective. I only do one spec, I only do one role and one class, and yeah, I got to at least empathize with these types of people that can't decide, which class and spec to use because they're more talented than I am. These types of people will just get bored of doing the same thing day in and day out. They want to be able to do damage in a different way. They want to be able to switch to an entirely different role, to understand different perspectives. As a raid lead, I can kind of get into that, but only so much because of what I do and what I know. I feel that one of the things that makes this question prop up so much, what's the best thing, which class or whatever should I roll, is things like damage meters and things like Warcraft logs that say, hey, this is the top thing that parsed for this week or for this patch or for this tier. So this is what everyone's gonna be doing. This is the best class. This is going to be the one that's gonna get into the groups, and that's okay, but it kind of robs the way I see it, it kind of robs the identity of the player. And for me, I identify myself as a protection paladin. You think, my guild thinks Soul, they think protection paladin. If I suddenly said, hey, I'm gonna play my rogue now, guys, what do you think? They'd probably be like, fuck. But again, there's this kind of perception between what is viable and not viable. And then people tend to mistake that for what is the best versus what is like the fifth best, and or even like the least, even the weakest class. I'm sure that the best person, I'm sure the best, like, let's pretend that Frost Mage was total garbage, at least on those parses. But if the best Frost Mage in the world put themselves against a mediocre demonology warlock, I'm pretty sure the Frost person will wipe the floor with them, given equal gear and skill. Well, not skill, but given equal gear and conditions. I also think that whole approach of bring the player, not the class, I think that kind of damaged the perception of, hey, what's the best thing? What should I do? What should I bring? Because there isn't, for a lot of classes, there isn't a special thing that they can bring. Like some classes, okay, I can bring Bloodlust, or I can bring a speed boost and things like that. But in previous expansions, there was a bit more class identity, as Blizzard talks about now. There was a little bit more class identity that really differentiates, one class or one role from another. Today, you don't see that. There aren't conditions where it's like, oh, I need a priest here so I can mind control stuff. Those kinds of conditions don't exist anymore. So it's all just about performance. What's your output? What's your throughput? What's your survivability ratio? Something or other. And then, of course, there's how the class plays. A demo warlock is going to play very differently from a fire mage, which is going to play very, very differently from a an outlaw rogue. So I get this question now, and especially with 7.2 just coming out, and as we're starting to wrap up progression in the Nighthold raid, there are people that, guildies come and ask me, hey, I want to roll this spec, or I want to do this kind of role, or I want to have a different class. Is that okay? And the answer that I always give in these kinds of situations is, it's not a problem until it's a problem. because again, I have a different mindset as a raid leader, as a guild leader. I do need to balance these kinds of things. You know, of course, I don't want too much melee. I can't have 0 healers. I'm not going to be a very viable raid group with that. But at the same time, there are certain philosophies that I've discovered for myself that I've been able to foster with my team, and I've been able to project that in a way that people are more comfortable with at least coming to me and saying, hey, you know, I want to do this. And I'll say, hey, it's not a problem, it's a problem. Just do what you think is best. And then when new guildies come in, they'll say, hey, you know, I want to raid. What kind of class should I bring? That's when all of us will kind of in unison will all say, hey, just bring what you want. We'll figure it out later. And I think that's And I think that's an important value to bring to the table when it comes to how, you know, what class is going to be best. It is going to be about your team. It is going to be about who you're rolling with. And unfortunately, when it comes to like PUGS, then you don't have that kind of advantage. In fact, I think you're severely disadvantaged when you're left to the pug world, basically, because then you do need to look at what's the top parse for this tier. And if you look at the spec that is at the very bottom, people are going to throw you out because they're like, oh well, Warcraft logs said that you suck, so you must suck, even if you might be the best assassination or the best subtlety rogue in the world. People are going to care less about that unless your name is like super famous, because again, these kinds of perceptions from third-party websites and macro databases and, you know, and all that stuff, that seems to override the feeling of, hey, you know, just bring what you think is fun, bring what you think that you perform best in. This is the thing this is my favorite class. This is who I identify with. I think that's important, and I think that is being compromised in the face of fast groups and just trying to get a quick viable group so you can get her Gul'dan down tonight because, you know, you got an 11:30 and you don't got time for this. I don't lose my train of thought, did I? I don't even know what the question was anymore. I was just carrying on for a while. Is that okay? So how do legendaries and artifact power play into this? They shouldn't. But they do, and well, it should feel natural when it comes to, hey, I want to switch to this class or role. Okay, boom, you go, and then you start gearing up, and then that should be it. Legendaries and Titanforge, they do, unfortunately, they play a factor into it, because there is the prevailing thought of being spec locked when it comes to earning, you know, like let's say you're a fire mage and then you got a couple legendaries based on that, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to roll frost because I hear that frost is better, or I obviously see after practicing and goofing around with stuff that frost is so much better. Oh crap, now I gotta level up my artifact weapon, which won't take terribly long. You can get it to a pretty damn viable level these days, especially after 7.2. Legendaries, that one's a little bit up in the air because we're not quite sure how the drop rate has been modified. But then there's this prevailing belief, and in many ways it's true, where not having the right legendaries just really becomes a big detriment to your class and to your ability to perform. But there are a lot of people that compare that kind of viability again to like these log sites. They'll take a look at. I had a guildie who had just left recently. He was a rep paladin, and he wasn't doing so great, mostly because he didn't have these legendaries. But he played decently well for what he had. So I never complained. But he complained about it like all the time. It's like, oh my god, I wish I could have done so much better. If only I had this. And part of me is just like, shut the fuck up. I don't care. I'm the raid lead. Okay, well, I didn't say that directly, right? Okay, I kind of said that, but I didn't say it directly. But I was just like, dude, you gotta calm down. It's not that big of a deal. And I guess I guess I am getting into a legendary conversation, but I guess I am highlighting that it is kind of a problem when it comes to wanting to switch between wanting to switch between specs, because one is said to be more viable than the other. But my counter statement to that I do actually have a counter statement to that. Is, well, why are you switching in the first place? Because some website told you? Because because you've practiced and you felt it and it feels better to you? Okay, there's that. But then you also have to decide, both for yourself and for your team, if you have a regular team, what's going to be more beneficial for you to start re-gearing and farming for more legendaries and artifact power and all that stuff, and possibly burning yourself out, or to take what you have and just push that to the absolute limit. And if you need to, and if you're still compelled to change, or you're still tempted to change, it sucks from a planning standpoint. But this is what I would say as a raid leader or GM to someone. I would say, hey, wait till the tier's over. Wait till it's over, then we can assess what's going on. Maybe we can take a look at patch notes and see what kind of changes are coming up. If you still feel the same, go ahead. And you know what? Even if you're not sure, just go ahead anyway, because we're at the end of the tier and we're at the end of content. It'll be okay, because the content is on farm, and at that point, it's not a problem until it's a problem. Part of me doesn't like it when the team asks me, "Hey, I want to roll. Is it okay if I roll this? Is it okay if I roll that?" Because I do just tell them again, it's not a problem until it's a problem. But I want my team, I want people in WoW, period, to just believe in themselves, to just believe in what they want to do. A lot of the time, people want to have the flavor of the month class. They want to have the most viable thing that, or the top parsing thing. But as we've seen historically, with the exception of a couple of outliers, for the most part, it's a constantly shifting thing in part of Blizzard. At one point, it might be this spec, or it might be this spec, or it might be this spec within the same class, or something like that. But with trying to ride that whole ebb and flow, you just gotta enjoy what you do and just kind of sit on it. That's what I want to preach to people, or otherwise kind of force them to do on my team, because some of these people, they just drive themselves crazy with trying to decide, and it sucks. I hate that. I don't like seeing the team suffer because they feel like they're unviable, and it's up to me. It's part of my job to tell them, hey, it's okay. I'm telling you, it's okay. There isn't an issue going on here. Hell, it's usually mechanics that get us killed anyway. But it's almost never, at least on my team, it's almost never about you're the wrong class, or you're doing the wrong thing. You should have rolled this class or used this spec instead. In fact, I have a lot of folks, they don't even tell me. They just kind of swap specs out and not say anything, and then I'll kind of look at the meters. I'll be like, huh, that's kind of weird, but whatever, it died, I don't care. And I think that's the point. Do I have a conclusion? No, I don't. I've been saying this for the past 26 minutes now. That's how long I've been recording to the thing. So yeah, I don't have a conclusion. It's just I strongly encourage people to just play what they want and master it. There's a value to that. If you become the SME of the shittiest class on the parse, yeah, you're gonna struggle in a pug. That's a given. So in that kind of context, maybe you should at least do some research and then play on the things that you like, and run with that. But if you're on a team, if you have a regular team and you're cool with everyone, I think it just makes things so much easier. It's just do what you feel is fun, do what you like, experiment. That's the whole point of the World of Warcraft. It's not part of it is to win, is to kill the boss, is to overcome the challenge. But at the same time, it's also about exploring yourself, exploring the character and the role, and seeing where that takes you. Maybe it won't take you anywhere, and if that doesn't work out, then just re-roll. That's not a huge deal. But if you're happy with what you're doing, and I guess after 9 years of tanking as a paladin, I guess I'm happy. or I have, you know, Stockholm syndrome, but it's, I know. And I think that's it. Share your thoughts and stay breezy. 28 minutes now.